Who would dare leave a newborn at the gate of the most feared man in the city, and disappear without a trace? The iron gates shudder under the weight of pounding rain, midnight swallowing everything in darkness, until a thin, fragile cry slices through the storm. It is not loud, but it is enough. Enough to stop the guards mid-step, enough to turn heads, enough to make the silence feel wrong. One of the men hesitates, his hand hovering over his radio, unsure if he is hearing a trick of the wind or something far more dangerous. Then it comes again. Sharper. Desperate. A sound that does not belong in a place built on power and control. They move toward it slowly, boots hitting wet stone, eyes scanning every shadow because nothing appears at this gate without a reason. And then they see it. A small bundle, barely moving, soaked through, left directly beneath the security camera as if placed there on purpose. No car. No footsteps. No sign of who brought it. Just the child. The guard kneels, pulling back the edge of the blanket, and the world seems to pause. Tiny fingers, pale from the cold, twitch weakly. A newborn. Breathing, but barely. He swallows hard, looking over his shoulder, because there is only one person who decides what happens next. The doors behind him open without warning. Heavy. Final. Alexander Kane steps out into the storm like it does not touch him, tall, controlled, his presence shifting the air itself. The guards straighten instantly, but none of them speak. They do not need to. His eyes have already found the bundle. He walks forward, each step measured, rain sliding down his face, his expression unreadable, until he stands over the child. For a moment he says nothing. Does nothing. The kind of silence that presses against your chest. This is not his world. Not his problem. And everyone there knows it. Then the baby lets out another cry, weaker this time, a sound that feels like it might disappear if no one answers it. Something changes. Not loudly. Not visibly. But enough. Alexander lowers himself slightly, his hand reaching out, then stopping just an inch above the child as if crossing a line he built himself. He should walk away. He does not. He lifts the baby. Carefully. Unexpectedly gentle. The movement is small, but it hits harder than anything else that has happened. The guards exchange a glance they do not dare hold for long, because this is not normal. This is not him. The baby shifts in his arms, searching, and then those tiny fingers close around his index finger with surprising strength. Alexander freezes. Just for a second. A breath caught somewhere deep. Then his jaw tightens, his eyes sharpening as if he has remembered exactly who he is. He turns, already issuing quiet orders, his voice low, controlled, but carrying absolute authority. Get medical now. Lock the perimeter. Find out who left him here. The machine begins to move instantly, men scattering, radios crackling, tension rising with every passing second. But as Alexander steps back inside, the child still gripping his hand, something else slips free from the soaked blanket and lands silently against the stone behind him. Something no one notices yet, something that will change everything. The stone floor behind the gate is still wet when one of the guards finally notices it, a small piece of paper pressed flat by rain, clinging to the ground like it was never meant to be found. He bends down, fingers hesitating for a fraction of a second before picking it up, the ink already bleeding, the edges torn by water and time. Inside, the estate moves fast, controlled chaos unfolding with quiet precision, but out here, for just a moment, everything feels slower. The guard wipes the paper against his sleeve, trying to make out the words, but most of it is gone. Only a single line remains, barely visible, written with shaking pressure. Please do not let him die. The words sit heavier than they should. Not a request. Not really. More like a warning. He looks toward the gates, toward the empty road stretching into darkness, and for the first time, something feels wrong in a way he cannot explain. Inside, the temperature shifts instantly from cold rain to controlled warmth, but the tension does not ease. Alexander walks straight through the main hall without stopping, water dripping from his coat, the child still held firmly against his chest. Staff step aside before he even reaches them, eyes lowered, because no one interrupts him when he moves like this. A medical team rushes in from the East Wing, already prepared, already moving before being fully called. They surround him, careful, efficient, but he does not hand the baby over immediately. Not yet. The child is still holding his finger. That tiny grip has not loosened. One of the doctors clears his throat, respectful but urgent, explaining that the baby is showing signs of severe exposure, that time matters, that they need to act now. Alexander looks down. Just once. His expression does not change, but something in his gaze lingers a second longer than it should. Then, finally, he releases the child. The moment the contact breaks, the baby lets out a weak cry, sharper than before, as if reacting to the loss. The sound follows him as he steps back, and for a split second, his pace slows. Just a fraction. Then it is gone. He turns, voice cutting clean through the room. Find her. The order lands heavy, immediate, undeniable. The head of security steps forward, already listing protocols, already outlining the search perimeter, but Alexander does not wait for the details. He is already thinking ahead. Cameras. Streets. Every exit within a 5-mile radius. Whoever brought that child here knew exactly where to go. Knew exactly when to disappear. This was not panic. This was planned. A technician rushes in with a tablet, pulling up the security feed from the front gate, but the screen flickers, glitches, then stabilizes into empty footage. No movement. No figure. Just rain falling against iron. The technician swallows, voice tight, explaining that the system went dark for exactly 3 minutes. No longer. No shorter. Just enough time. Alexander takes the tablet, his fingers tightening slightly along the edge as he watches the gap replay again and again. Precision like that does not happen by accident. Someone knew his system. Someone understood his blind spots. And then, as he lowers the screen, something else surfaces, quieter but far more dangerous. The way the child was placed. Not thrown. Not abandoned in fear. Set down carefully. As if whoever left him believed this was the only place he would be safe. Alexander lifts his gaze, eyes colder now, sharper, locking onto the head of security. Expand the search. Not just outside. Inside. The room stills. No one speaks. Because everyone understands what that means. If this was planned, if someone knew this much, then the threat is not just out there in the dark. It might already be standing somewhere within these walls, watching, waiting, and knowing exactly what comes next. The room does not breathe the same anymore. Even the air feels watched. Alexander stands still for a moment, just long enough for the weight of his own order to settle in, then he turns sharply, his coat slicing through the silence as he moves toward the medical wing. Every step is controlled, but faster now, like something inside him is no longer willing to wait. Behind him, security fractures into motion, voices low, urgent, spreading through corridors, scanning faces, checking access logs, because if the threat is inside, then trust is already broken. Inside the medical room, the baby lies under soft light, surrounded by quiet machines that hum steadily, a fragile life held together by warmth and careful hands. The doctor adjusts the blanket, monitoring every small movement, every breath, and for a moment, everything feels smaller, quieter, almost normal. Then the door opens. Alexander enters without announcement. The entire room shifts. The staff step back instinctively, not out of fear, but because his presence demands space. He walks straight to the crib, eyes locking onto the child, and this time, he does not hesitate. He looks longer. Closer. As if searching for something that does not belong to logic. The doctor speaks, explaining that the baby is stabilizing, that the worst has passed for now, but they still need to understand exposure levels, possible complications, unknown variables. Alexander does not respond immediately. His attention is fixed on one detail. The chain. It rests against the child's skin, partially hidden beneath the blanket, but unmistakable once seen. He reaches out slowly, lifting it just enough for the light to catch. Silver. Worn. Familiar. Too familiar. His fingers tightened slightly, not enough to disturb the baby, but enough to betray something deeper than control. The room grows quieter, as if even the machines are waiting. That chain does not belong to a stranger. It belongs to a memory he buried. Years ago. A woman with eyes that did not fear him. A woman who walked away without asking for anything. Without taking anything. Or so he believed. His mind moves fast now, connecting pieces that should not fit. Timing. Precision. Placement. This was not someone leaving a child in desperation. This was someone delivering a message directly to him. Personal. Intentional. Dangerous. The doctor continues speaking, but the words fade into the background. Alexander lowers the chain slowly, his expression sharpening into something colder, more focused, more dangerous than before. He turns slightly toward the head of security who has just entered the room, waiting, already sensing that something has shifted. Alexander speaks, his voice lower than before, but carrying more weight. Run facial recognition across every hospital, every clinic within 20 miles. Look for a woman who would rather disappear than ask for help. The head of security nods, but there is hesitation, just a fraction, just enough to be noticed. Alexander does not miss it. Say it. The man swallows, then answers carefully. Sir, if she avoided your cameras, she knows your system. That level of access is not public. The implication hangs in the air. Not an outsider. Someone connected. Someone who knows how to stay invisible inside his world. Alexander does not react outwardly. But inside, something locks into place. A pattern. A memory. A possibility he does not want to name. He looks back at the baby, at the small hand resting near the chain, at the quiet rise and fall of his chest. Then, almost to himself, but loud enough to be heard, he says one name. Emily. The room freezes. Because that name has not been spoken here in years. And if he is right, then the woman who left this child at his gate did not just vanish into the night. She came back into his world for a reason he has not yet begun to understand. The name does not fade after it is spoken. It lingers heavy, pulling the room into a silence that feels too tight to breathe in. Emily. No last name. No explanation. Just a ghost pulled back into the present. The head of security shifts slightly, eyes lowering for a fraction of a second, because everyone here understands what that name means. Not just a memory. A weakness. And weaknesses in this world do not stay hidden for long. Alexander does not look at anyone. His attention remains on the child, but his mind is already moving far beyond this room. If it is her, then nothing about this is random. Not the timing. Not the execution. Not the risk. Emily Carter never acted without a reason. And she never came back. Until now. The doctor clears his throat again, more cautious this time, asking if there is any medical history they should be aware of, any information that could help stabilize the situation further. Alexander finally lifts his gaze, slow, deliberate, and the weight of it silences the question before it can finish forming. He does not answer. Because he does not know. And that is the problem. For the first time in years, there is something inside his reach that he cannot control, cannot predict, cannot fully understand. The baby shifts again, a small restless movement, and his hand instinctively reaches out, resting lightly against the edge of the crib. Not touching. Not yet. But close enough. As if proximity alone matters. The head of security steps closer, voice lower now, more urgent. Sir, if she is connected to this, then bringing the child here was not just a message. It was exposure. Anyone watching will know this matters to you. The words land exactly where they are meant to. This is no longer just about finding Emily. This is about what her return does to his position, his control, his enemies. In his world, caring is dangerous. And this, whatever this is already visible. Alexander straightens slightly, the shift subtle but absolute. His expression hardens, The brief crack sealing shut behind something colder, sharper, more familiar. Then we do not give them time to use it. His voice is calm again. Controlled. The version of him that built everything. Lock internal access. No one leaves without clearance. And no one speaks about this outside these walls. The orders move instantly, but the tension does not ease. Because this is not containment. This is escalation. Outside, the storm has not stopped. If anything, it feels heavier now, rain hitting the windows in steady, relentless waves. Somewhere beyond the gates, a woman is still out there. Running. Hiding. Or worse. And if she came back just to leave this child, then whatever is chasing her is not something she believed she could survive. Alexander looks down at the baby one more time, his jaw tightening almost imperceptibly. You chose this place, he murmurs under his breath, not to the room, not to the guards, but to someone who is not there. So tell me why. No one hears the question. But it hangs there anyway. Because if Emily brought their child into his world, then she did not just reopen the past. She dragged something far more dangerous into the present. And for the first time, Alexander realizes this is not a situation he can simply control. It is a situation that is about to force him to choose. The storm outside does not slow, but inside, something shifts even more violently, and this time it is not the weather. It is him. Alexander stands there longer than he should, longer than any man in his position ever allows himself to hesitate, his gaze locked on the small rise and fall of the child's chest, steady now, fragile but fighting. The room waits, because they all feel it, the change that has not been spoken yet. Power is supposed to be clear. Clean. Controlled. But this is not clean. This is not controlled. This is personal. The head of security steps forward again, voice quieter now, almost careful. Sir, we are expanding the search grid, but if she is avoiding surveillance, she may not be heading toward hospitals or public places. She may be doing the opposite. The implication is immediate. If Emily is hiding, then she is not just afraid. She is protecting something. Or someone. Alexander does not respond right away. Instead, he looks at the baby again, closer this time, as if trying to read something written in features too small to fully form. The curve of the cheek. The shape of the eyes. The way the tiny hand twitches as if reaching for something that is no longer there. Not fear. Not yet. Just instinct. And something deeper. Something that should not matter, but does. His hand moves again, this time not stopping, his fingers brushing lightly against the child's hand. The reaction is immediate. The baby grips him again. Tighter than before. As if recognizing something without understanding it. And that is when it happens. Not loud. Not dramatic. But irreversible. Alexander does not pull away. He stays. The doctor pauses mid-movement, noticing it, because this is not a gesture. This is a decision forming in real time. A connection that should not exist in a man like him. His voice comes low, controlled, but different now, carrying something that was not there before. How long before full recovery? The doctor answers carefully, explaining stabilization, monitoring, unknown factors, but the words barely register. Because Alexander is already somewhere else. Calculating. Not risk. Not strategy. But something far more dangerous. What it means if this child stays. What it means if Emily does not come back. The head of security steps in again, urgency returning. Sir, if she is being pursued, then bringing the child here may have exposed this location to whoever is tracking her. We need to consider relocation. The word hangs heavy. Relocation. Move the child. Move the risk. Remove the variable. The logical answer. The correct answer. The answer you would have given without hesitation any other day. But today is not any other day. Alexander slowly straightens, his hand still caught in that tiny grip, and for the first time, his expression does not fully return to cold. There is something else underneath. Not weakness. Not exactly. but something that refuses to let go. No. The word lands quietly, but it carries absolute finality. The room stills. The head of security blinks, just once, not expecting resistance. Sir, with respect, this is not a controlled variable. This is a direct vulnerability. Alexander turns his head slightly, eyes locking onto him, and in that look is something far more dangerous than anger. It is certainty. Then it becomes controlled. The most controlled it has been. Then we control it. His voice lowers further, each word deliberate. He stays here. Under my protection. No one moves him. No one touches him without my order. The shift is complete now. Not just a decision. A declaration. And everyone in the room understands what just happened. The most powerful man in the city has just tied himself to something he cannot command. Something that can be used against him. Something that can change him. Outside, the storm continues. Inside, the balance of power has already begun to move. And somewhere, far beyond the reach of his walls, a woman who once walked away from him is now the only one who knows why. The decision does not sit quietly. It spreads. Fast. Like something alive inside the walls of the estate. Within minutes, the entire system shifts around one fragile center, one child who should never have existed in this world, and yet now sits at its core. Doors lock. Access changes. Names are flagged. Every movement is tracked with a precision that borders on suffocating. And still, it does not feel like enough. Alexander stands near the window now, looking out into the storm. But not seeing it. His reflection stares back at him, sharp, controlled, unchanged on the surface. But behind it, something is no longer aligned. He made a choice. And choices like that do not stay isolated. They ripple. They attract attention. They invite pressure. A soft sound breaks through his thoughts. Not loud. Not urgent. Just a small shift from the crib behind him. He turns immediately. Too fast for someone who claims control. The baby stirs, restless again, his tiny face tightening as if reacting to something unseen. Not pain. Not exactly. Something deeper. The doctor moves in quickly, checking vitals, adjusting warmth, speaking in calm tones, but there is a flicker of concern now that was not there before. Alexander steps closer without being asked. What is it? His voice is quiet, but there is an edge beneath it now. The doctor hesitates, then answers honestly. It could be stress response. Or something internal we cannot fully assess yet. We need more information. Information. The one thing he does not have. And the one thing Emily took with her when she disappeared. His jaw tightens slightly. Every second without answers increases the risk. Not just for the child. For everything. The head of security re-enters, faster this time, no hesitation. Sir, we have movement. Alexander turns instantly. Explain. The man steps closer, lowering his voice. We intercepted a signal on the outer perimeter. Not a breach. A scan. Someone is mapping the estate. The words land sharp. Not random. Not accidental. Intentional. Targeted. The storm outside suddenly feels less like weather and more like cover. Alexander does not ask if it is confirmed. He already knows. This is connected. Everything is connected. The baby. The disappearance. The erased footage. And now this. Someone knows. Or at least suspects enough to act. His mind moves fast, recalculating, restructuring priorities. Protect the child. Secure the estate. Find Emily. But there is a problem now. Those goals are no longer separate. They are the same. The doctor speaks again, more urgent now. If there is any chance the child was exposed to something before being brought here, we need to run advanced screening immediately. Delay could make things worse. Another variable. Another unknown. Alexander looks between the crib and the security officer, the weight of both realities pressing in at once. External threat. Internal vulnerability. Time shrinking from both sides. His voice comes low, controlled, but sharper than before. Run everything. No delays. Then he turns to security. Double the perimeter. No signals in or out without my clearance. The orders move instantly, but the pressure does not ease. Because now it is no longer a question of if something is coming. It is when. The baby lets out a small sound again, weaker this time, and Alexander steps closer without thinking, his hand hovering just above the crib, not touching, but not pulling away either. And for the first time, the realization settles in completely. This is not just something he is protecting. This is something that is now defining him. And somewhere beyond the walls, whoever is searching has just confirmed one thing. The child is still alive. And they are getting closer. The signal does not disappear. It moves. Slow. Precise. Like someone circling, not rushing, not forcing entry, but studying, learning, waiting for the exact moment to step closer. Inside the estate, every screen lights up with shifting data, perimeter lines tightening, security teams repositioning in silence, but no one speaks louder than necessary. Because this is no longer just a threat. This is a test. And whoever is out there is patient. Alexander stands at the center of it all, still as stone, but everything around him moves because of him. His mind runs ahead of the moment, mapping possibilities, eliminating errors, but one variable refuses to settle. Emily. If she is alive, then she knows this is happening. If she knows, then she either expected it, or she is already too late to stop it. The baby stirs again, more restless now, a small, strained sound escaping that does not belong to comfort. It cuts through the room sharper than any alarm. Alexander turns instantly, closing the distance in 2 steps, his hand finally touching the child without hesitation. The reaction is immediate. The baby quiets. Not completely. But enough. Enough to feel it. The connection is no longer subtle. It is undeniable. The doctor watches closely, voice lower now, more serious. He is responding to you. That is not just instinct. That is recognition. The words land deeper than they should. Recognition. Alexander does not answer. But his hand does not move away. Not this time. The head of security steps in again, urgency breaking through control. Sir, the signal just locked onto one of our internal frequencies. The room freezes. Internal. Not outside anymore. Not circling. Inside the system. A breach without entry. Someone is not just watching. Someone is connected. Alexander slowly lifts his gaze, and now there is no question. This is not random. This is directed. Someone knows exactly what they are looking for. He releases the crib, turning fully now, his voice cutting through the room like a blade. Shut down all external links. Isolate every system. If they are inside, I want them exposed. The orders move instantly, but the timing is off. Too tight. Too late. Screens flicker. Systems lag for just a fraction of a second. And in that fraction, something slips through. A single file appears on the main display. No warning. No trace of origin. Just one video feed. Grainy. Shaking. Recorded somewhere dark. The room goes silent as it begins to play. A woman. Barely visible. Breathing unevenly. Holding something close to her chest. Her voice comes through, weak but urgent. If you are seeing this, then I did not make it back. Alexander does not move. Does not blink. Because he knows that voice. Even before the image clears. Emily. She looks different. Thinner. Tired in a way that does not come from time, but from running out of it. Her eyes lift toward the camera, and for a second, everything else disappears. I had no choice. They are watching everything. I could not go to anyone else. Not even you. The words break slightly, but she keeps going, forcing them out. He is not just yours. He is the reason they will come. The room tightens. Every person in it understands what that means. This is not about a child anymore. This is about leverage. About something far bigger. Emily shifts slightly, and for a brief second, the camera catches the same silver chain, clear, unmistakable. I needed you to protect him. Because if they find him first. Her voice cuts off. The feed glitches. Freezes. Then goes black. No ending. No explanation. Just silence. Alexander stands there, the weight of it crashing in all at once, not loud, not chaotic, but absolute. The storm outside continues. The systems flicker back to normal. But nothing is normal anymore. Because now he knows. This was never a choice. It was a warning. And whatever is coming for that child is already closer. Then he thought. The screen stays black long after the video ends. No one moves. No one speaks. Because there is nothing left to say that has not already been understood. It was not just a message. It was goodbye. The kind that comes too late. Alexander does not look away from the screen, even as the system resets, even as the file disappears without a trace, leaving no data, no origin, no path to follow. Just absence. His reflection stares back at him again, but this time it feels different. Not controlled. Not distant. Something has broken through. Not visibly. Not enough for anyone else to name it. But enough for him to feel it. Emily did not come back for him. She came back because she had nowhere else to go. And now she is gone again. This time, not by choice. The realization settles deeper than any threat. Slower. Heavier. The child shifts behind him, a small sound breaking through the silence, softer now, weaker, as if the tension in the room has reached even him. Alexander turns, immediately, the movement sharper than before, as if the delay between reaction and action no longer exists. He steps closer to the crib, his hand hovering for only a fraction of a second before resting gently against the baby's chest. The response is immediate again. The child calms. Not fully. But enough. Enough to hold on to. The doctor watches in silence now, no longer questioning, no longer explaining. Because whatever this is, it has already gone beyond medicine. Alexander lowers his head slightly, just enough that his voice does not carry beyond the space between him and the child. You should not be here. The words are not cold. Not harsh. They carry something else now. Something unfamiliar. Something closer to regret. Because this was not supposed to happen. Not to him. Not like this. The head of security steps forward carefully, breaking the moment, because the world outside does not stop for grief. Sir, we traced the signal. It was routed through 3 layers, but the final ping came from less than 2 miles away. The distance lands like a weight. Close. Too close. Not past. Not gone. Still within reach. Or within danger. Alexander straightens slowly, the shift in him immediate and complete. The moment is over. The man they know is back. But not the same. Never the same. Prepare a team. His voice is steady again. Controlled. But there is something beneath it now that was not there before. Urgency. Not for power. For time. The head of security nods quickly, already moving, but then stops, just for a second. Sir, if this is a trap. Alexander cuts him off without raising his voice. Then it is mine to walk into. The words land final. Absolute. No hesitation left. No distance left. The choice has already been made. He turns back once more, just briefly, his gaze falling to the child, to the small hand now resting quietly, no longer reaching, no longer searching. And for a moment, everything narrows to that single detail. Because this is what changed. Not the threat. Not the enemy. Him. Then he steps away. The room shifts with him, the entire system moving again, faster now, sharper, because the line has been crossed. Outside, the storm continues without pause. Inside, something far more dangerous has already begun. And somewhere, less than 2 miles away, whatever took Emily is no longer hiding. The convoy moves before the storm even realizes it has been outrun. Black vehicles cut through rain-slick streets, engines low, lights dimmed, everything controlled, everything calculated, but nothing about this feels routine. Because this time, Alexander is not sending men. He is in the lead car. And that changes everything. Inside, silence stretches tight, broken only by the rhythm of rain against reinforced glass. His eyes stay forward, but his mind is somewhere else entirely, replaying the last seconds of that video, the way Emily looked, the way she said those words. Not fear. Not panic. Certainty. She knew exactly what was coming. And she still chose him. That is what does not fit. That is what does not make sense. Unless she was not running from them. The thought forms slowly, then locks in place. She was leading them. The realization hits without warning. Not loud. Not chaotic. Just sharp. Clean. Dangerous. The car slows slightly as they approach the coordinates, an abandoned industrial block just under 2 miles from the estate, quiet, empty, the kind of place no one looks at twice. Too perfect. Too still. The team fans out immediately, moving in sync, scanning entry points, checking angles, but Alexander steps out before anyone finishes their assessment. The rain hits harder here, heavier. Like the air itself is thicker. He does not wait for clearance. He walks straight toward the building. The head of security catches up quickly, voice low but urgent. Sir, we need to secure the perimeter first. If this is staged. Alexander does not stop. Then we are already late. The door is partially open. Not forced. Not broken. Left that way. An invitation. Or a warning. Inside, the space is dark, wide, hollow, the kind of emptiness that amplifies every step, every breath. The team spreads out, checking corners, clearing space, but nothing moves. Nothing reacts. It feels wrong. Too quiet. Then something catches his eye. A small device placed on a metal table in the center of the room. Not hidden. Not protected. Waiting. Alexander steps closer, ignoring the immediate protest from his team. The device flickers to life the moment he is within reach. No delay. No hesitation. Like it was waiting for him specifically. Another video. Clearer this time. No distortion. No shaking. Emily appears again. But this is different. She is not running. She is not hiding. She is standing still, looking directly into the camera. And for the first time, she does not look afraid. Her voice comes through steady. Controlled. If you are here, then you did exactly what I needed you to do. The room tightens instantly. This is not a warning anymore. This is direction. Alexander does not move. Does not blink. Because the shift is undeniable. This is not someone being hunted. This is someone leading the hunt. Emily continues, her eyes sharp now, focused in a way he has never seen before. You always think you are the one in control. That nothing moves unless you allow it. But this time, I needed you to step out. To leave the place you built. To come to me. The words land heavier with every second. Not desperation. Strategy. The head of security glances toward Alexander, tension rising, but no one interrupts. No one dares. Because this is no longer about finding her. This is about understanding what she has become. Emily leans slightly closer to the camera, her voice lowering. They are not coming for him. The statement cuts through everything. They are coming for you. Silence. Absolute. Then the screen flickers once. And behind her, just for a fraction of a second, something appears in the reflection of a metal surface. A figure. Standing still. Watching. Not her. Not part of the recording. Something else. The video cuts instantly. The device powers down. And in the sudden silence of the empty building, one truth settles in completely. Alexander did not walk into a rescue. He walked into a setup. The silence after the screen goes dark does not last. It fractures. Fast. A sharp pulse runs through every device in the room at once, not loud, not chaotic, but precise, like something has just been activated. The lights flicker. The air tightens. And in that split second, everyone understands the same thing. This was never just a message. It was a trigger. The head of security moves first, voice cutting through the tension. We need to move now. But Alexander does not step back. He steps forward. One more step toward the table, toward the device that already did its job, toward the place Emily wanted him to stand. His eyes scan the room again, slower this time, not looking for threats, but for intention. For design. Because this place is not empty. It is arranged. Every shadow. Every angle. Every second he stands here, something else is moving somewhere else. His voice comes low, controlled, but sharper than it has ever been. Talk. The command lands and the head of security responds immediately, faster now, urgency breaking through discipline. Multiple signals just lit up across the grid. Not here. Everywhere. Near the estate. Near the routes. Near the perimeter. The words hit harder than any explosion ever could. This is not an attack on him. This is a diversion away from what matters. The baby? Alexander turns instantly, the shift immediate, complete, irreversible. We go back. Now. The team moves without hesitation, but something is already off. Too late. The realization settles before they even reach the door. This was never about pulling him out. It was about pulling him away. The vehicles start before commands finish, engines roaring to life, tires cutting through water as they push back toward the estate, faster now, harder, every second stretching thin. Inside the car, no one speaks. Because they all know what is waiting if they are even 1 minute too late. Alexander does not sit back. He leans forward, eyes locked ahead, every calculation collapsing into one single line of focus. Distance. Time. Consequence. His hand tightens slightly against the seat, not from fear, but from something far more dangerous. Urgency without control. The radio crackles suddenly, sharp, breaking through the silence. Sir, we have an internal alert. Medical wing access just triggered. Unauthorized. The words slam into the car. The baby? Alexander does not ask for confirmation. He does not need it. His voice cuts through instantly. Lock it down. No one in or out. But the reply comes too fast. Too tight. We are trying, but the system is not responding. Another pause. Then worse. It is like someone is already inside the control layer. The car accelerates harder, the estate gates appearing through the rain like a line between control and collapse. Inside, lights flicker again briefly, then stabilize, but the feeling does not return. Something has already shifted. Something has already crossed the line. The vehicles stop before they fully settle, doors opening, movement immediate, controlled chaos snapping back into place as Alexander steps out without waiting. He moves faster now, no hesitation left, no distance between thought and action, cutting through corridors, ignoring everything except one direction. The medical wing. The closer he gets, the quieter it becomes. Not calm. Not safe. Wrong. The kind of silence that comes after something has already happened. He reaches the door. Stops. Just for a fraction of a second. Not from doubt. From certainty. Because whatever is on the other side will not be what he left behind. His hand reaches for the handle. And for the first time since this began, there is no plan left. Only a choice he cannot undo once he makes it. The door opens. Not slowly. Not cautiously. Just enough. And then everything stops. The room is not empty. But it is not what anyone expected. The lights are steady now, no flicker, no alarm, just a quiet, controlled space that feels untouched, as if nothing ever happened here. The crib is still there. Exactly where it was. The machines hum softly, unchanged, stable, calm. For a moment, it almost feels like a mistake. Like they came back for nothing. But Alexander does not move. Because something is wrong. It is too still. Too perfect. He steps inside, slower now, every movement measured, every breath controlled, his eyes scanning every detail, not looking for chaos, but for what does not belong. And then he sees it. The baby is still there. Breathing. Safe. Unharmed. The small chest rising and falling with quiet rhythm. Exactly as he left him. Relief does not come. Not fully. Because the tension does not break. It shifts. Alexander moves closer, his hand reaching out, hovering just above the crib, waiting, testing something he cannot name. The baby stirs. And then, as if nothing had changed, those tiny fingers reach out again, finding him, holding him, just like before. The contact is instant. Real. Grounding. And for the first time since this began, something inside him slows. Not his mind. Not his control. Something deeper. The part of him that has been moving too fast to feel anything at all. The doctor steps forward, voice low, careful. He never left. No one entered. The system locked itself from the inside. The words settle slowly. Not a breach. Not a failure. A design. Alexander lifts his gaze slightly, eyes narrowing, not in anger, but in realization. This was never about taking the child. It was about proving something. The head of security steps in, still tense, still scanning. Sir, all access logs show no external entry. No internal override either. It is like, he hesitates. Like the system responded on its own. Alexander looks back at the child, then at the room, then at the silent screens beyond the glass. No. Not on its own. Guided. The memory of Emily's voice returns, clear now, sharper than before. They are coming for you. Not him. You. The pieces shift. Reorder. Align. This was not a distraction. It was a demonstration. Someone reached into his world, into his system, into the place he believed was untouchable, and showed him that it is not. That he is not. Alexander lowers his head slightly, his grip steady now as the baby holds onto him without fear, without hesitation. That is when it lands. Not as a shock. Not as a blow. As truth. He built his empire on control. On distance. On never needing anyone. And now, for the first time, someone found the one thing he cannot distance himself from. The one thing he cannot replace. The one thing that makes him vulnerable in a way power cannot protect. He does not pull his hand away. He does not step back. Instead, he leans in just slightly, enough that his voice does not travel beyond the space between him and the child. They wanted me to see this. The words are quiet. Controlled. But different. Because now, he understands the game. And he understands the cost. The storm outside begins to ease, the rain softening, the sound fading into something distant, almost calm. But inside, nothing has settled. Because this is not over. It has only changed shape. Alexander straightens slowly, his hand still held, his presence no longer just power, but something else layered beneath it. Something heavier. Something human. And for the first time, the most dangerous man in the city is no longer deciding how to win. He is deciding what he is willing to lose. The storm has passed, but the silence it leaves behind feels heavier than the rain ever did. The estate stands exactly as it always has, untouched on the surface, controlled, precise, unshaken, yet something inside it has shifted in a way that cannot be reversed. Alexander remains by the crib longer than anyone expects, longer than any man in his position would allow himself to stand still. The room no longer feels like a place of power. It feels like a boundary. A line he has already crossed. The baby sleeps now, small, quiet, unaware of the weight pressing down on everything around him, unaware that his existence has already changed the balance of an entire world. Alexander watches him without speaking, his expression no longer guarded in the same way. Not softer. Not weaker. But altered. As if something that once stood between him and everything else has quietly stepped aside. The doctor finishes another check, voice low, almost hesitant, as if unsure how to speak in a room that no longer follows familiar rules. He is stable. Stronger than before. The words should bring closure. They do not. Because stability is not safety. Not anymore. Alexander nods once, a small movement, controlled, but it carries more weight than any command he has given before. Not because of authority. Because of acceptance. The head of security stands at a distance now, waiting, watching, reading the shift that no one dares to name out loud. Sir, the perimeter is secure again. No additional signals. Everything is contained. The last word does not settle. It lingers, incomplete. Because containment no longer means control. Not after what just happened. Alexander turns slowly, his gaze moving across the room, across the systems, the walls. The quiet order he built piece by piece over years, and for the first time, he sees it differently. Not as a fortress. As something that can be entered. Reached. Understood by someone who knows where to look. By someone who knew him well enough to do it. Emily did not just return. She revealed something. Not about the world. About him. His voice comes low, steady, but there is a depth to it now that was never there before. Double internal security. Rotate protocols every 6 hours. No patterns. No assumptions. The orders are familiar, but the reason behind them is not. This is not about maintaining power. This is about protecting something he cannot afford to lose. The head of security nods immediately, already moving, but there is a glance, brief and sharp, toward the crib. Because everyone understands now. The center has changed. Alexander steps closer one last time, his hand resting lightly near the child, not needing to touch this time, not needing confirmation. The connection is already there. It does not need to be tested again. His voice lowers, almost to himself, but clear enough to carry meaning. You brought him here because you knew I would not let anything happen to him. Not because I am the safest. Because I am the one who would change. The realization lands without resistance. Without denial. Outside, the sky begins to clear, the first break in the clouds letting through a thin line of light that touches the edge of the window, subtle, almost unnoticed, but real. Inside, nothing feels finished. Because this was never meant to end here. This was the beginning of something that cannot be undone. And somewhere, beyond everything he can see, the woman who set all of this in motion may still be out there, or may already be gone, leaving behind only one truth that now defines everything. He is no longer the man who controls the game. He is the man who has something to protect. And that changes what comes next. The light outside grows stronger, slowly pushing away the last shadows of the storm, and for the first time since the night began, the estate feels quiet in a way that is not threatening, not heavy, just still. The kind of stillness that comes after something has ended, even if no one has said it out loud yet. Alexander remains where he is, standing beside the crib, his presence no longer dominating the room, but anchoring it. The child sleeps peacefully now, his breathing steady, his small hand resting open, no longer searching, no longer reaching, as if something inside him already knows he is safe. And that is the difference. Not the walls. Not the guards. Not the systems that surround them. Him. Alexander lowers himself slightly, just enough to bring his hand closer, and this time, he does not hesitate at all. He lets his finger rest gently in the child's palm. The reaction is immediate, but softer now. The baby curls his fingers around him, not with urgency, not with need, but with quiet certainty. As if this connection no longer has to be proven. It simply exists. The room remains silent, but it is no longer tense. The doctor steps back, the head of security holds position, and no one interrupts, because they understand what they are witnessing is not something that can be ordered, controlled, or explained. It is something that has already changed the outcome of everything. Alexander watches the child for a long moment, and for the first time, there is no calculation behind his gaze. No strategy. No distance. Just presence. Emily did not leave a problem at his gate. She left a truth. A truth he could have ignored, could have denied, could have removed from his world before it ever touched him. But he did not. And that is what matters. The weight of everything that happened does not disappear. The threat still exists. The unknown is still out there. Emily is still gone, her fate unwritten, her reasons only half understood. But the question that defined everything before is no longer the same. It is not who is coming. It is not what they want. It is what he chooses to protect when they do. Alexander slowly straightens, his hand still held, his presence calm but unshakable now, not because he controls everything, but because he has accepted what he cannot. The head of security finally steps forward, voice low, respectful. "Sir, what are your orders?" The question hangs in the air, familiar, expected, the kind of question that once defined him completely. Alexander looks at the child one last time, then lifts his gaze, steady, certain, unchanged in power, but transformed in purpose. Everything stays the same. But we do not. The words settle into the room, quiet, but absolute. And in that moment, the meaning becomes clear. The empire does not fall. The walls do not break. The power does not fade. But the man at the center of it all is no longer the same man who built it. Outside, the sky opens fully, sunlight breaking through in thin lines that stretch across the glass, touching the edges of a world that almost lost something it did not know it needed. Inside, a child sleeps without fear. And a man who once ruled everything without attachment now stands with something he cannot command, cannot replace, and will never walk away from. Because in the end, power is not what defines a man. It is what he chooses to protect when he finally has something worth losing.